So, the translations are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 391, and while it is a short one, it is an important chapter that we need to break down and review because this is the start, most likely, of the final confrontation between Toga as well as URARAKA, and we will get right to it, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my manga review for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 391, titled The World She Rejected. And from that title alone and what we're getting in this chapter, as well as the color page that we saw, I believe, last chapter, this is going to be very much a focus on URARAKA versus Toga, where we get some more information about Toga, we get a probable explanation for how this fight is going to break down, as well as we get just more understanding and breaking down of who URARAKA and Toga are as characters in this chapter, as well as setting up for the final confrontation. So let's just dive into the chapter and really dive into what this chapter is about. And as I said earlier, this chapter is only 9 pages, but these are just 9 pages of setup. And I know that I'm not going to get into this, but the fact that we have 9 pages and Horikoshi is most likely suffering due to the workload that he is right now, I'm not going to be focusing on that. I will allow for Horikoshi to do what he does because this is his manga and the decisions that he is making are all his own. Whether you like it or not, this is what he wants to do with the story, and at this moment, it is not necessarily horrible or bad as people may think. And going into things that people may think, let's dive into what Toga is actually doing in this chapter, because we actually get some confirmation of how her power is working with the Twice's quirk. And it's basically confirmed in this chapter that what the heroes are fighting are not a bunch of Twices, but a bunch of Togas dressed up and disguised to be Twice. As we get this confirmation when we literally see Pixie Bob being overwhelmed by these Toga Twices and pretty much putting a nail in the coffin on the hero's capability of being able to push away this wave of Toga Twices. And they bring up the fact that because Pixie Bob has been brought down by the Sad Man's death parade, the heroes really have no way of fighting against this flood of Twice clones, which are actually Toga, and that they are about to be overwhelmed, as we see both Pixie Bob and Tiger being overwhelmed, as well as we get to see Shishida and Kami as well, also being overwhelmed. And most likely than not, they aren't dead, but this gives you an understanding of why Twice was dangerous. Not necessarily for his ability to multiply other people and make an entire army of strong individuals, but that the fact that he can literally outnumber an army in an instant, even if they are well trained, his numbers can most likely go up to be infinite proportions, and now Toga can do the same, because once again, it's confirmed that these are Toga cloning herself using the transformation of sort of Twice's double. And how they bring up the idea that there is a limit to her double due to the amount of mount she consumes, but that doesn't really matter because if the heroes falter even once, an ocean of clones will wash over them in no time, as we get to see Ida, as well as we get to see Hawks defending Tokoyomi, as the implication is that potentially the wave of the Toga clones dressed as Twice are going to eventually reach them, as well as we see a passed out Shoto as well. So it's great that we finally get confirmation of what these Twices are, which are that they are Toga, which is what I thought they were at the beginning. And this kind of makes it a little bit understandable for why Double is not acting the exact same way as it would do with Twice, which we're getting that expanded upon more in this chapter, but a baseline understanding of it is that this isn't necessarily Double, but a duplicate or a copy of Double that may not be perfect, which means that even if Toga may have wanted to do exactly the same thing that Twice did, she can't because she only has a quirk that isn't actually Double, but is based off the Double quirk. But going from that section of the manga, let's focus on what the rest of this manga chapter is going to be about, which is finally URARAKA facing off against Toga. because we see that URARAKA, with her float, is able to sort of kind of avoid the flood of these Toga Twice clones. However, she's unable to do it for an extended amount of time due to the fact that because of the sheer numbers and the ability to double at such a rate, no matter how high she gets, the twice double Toga clones could eventually reach her due to the fact that they are climbing on top of each other. As we also get some dialogue boxes of one of the Twices, which is most likely the original Toga, thinking about what's happening, whether or not Dabi is actually dead and that she may have lost someone else, as we get a new move from URARAKA called Zero Gravity Spacewalk. As we see that she uses one of her wires to latch on to the main, most likely Toga individual that is dressed up as Twice, and is swinging in her direction as she begins to give a slight monologue about the relationship that she has built with Toga over the past year since last summer. How she's changed as a person, how she's changed a lot, and how she's sorry, and how she's trying to finally understand what's going on with Toga. And as Toga is not willing to hear it and wants URARAKA to shut up, you have URARAKA trying to explain to Toga why she's unable to become like Twice and why she can fully become like him. And now this ties into the implication that URARAKA does believe that Toga does have love for characters such as Dabi as well as Shigaraki, and that that is not the issue at play, but that she realizes after seeing the tears in Toga's face dressed as Twice, she comes to a conclusion that she has mixed feelings and how her love is being mixed in with her murderous intent and how it's diluting her quote-unquote pure love, which means that she does not have a pure version of Double, meaning that there are certain aspects of Double that she cannot use. And whether or not that is true or not, we see that this is able to break Toga out of that Twice appearance, as she says that she needs to shut up to URARAKA because she doesn't understand anything about her as the chapter ends. And before we get to my final thoughts, I really want to talk about the final thing that URARAKA said in this chapter involving Double and why Toga is unable to use it to the peak of its potential. And it's the idea that her feelings of love is being mixed with murderous intent. And we need to get something straight out. Whether or not Toga's love is toxic or bad, it is still love. She still does have love for certain people, and that she is able to express that love in a very different way. It's very much like the idea of how you have the different love languages and how there are many different ways people express love, but they are all forms of love. And for Toga, how she expresses her love is to become the person that she loves, and the only way that she can really do that is by drinking their blood. Because we also have to realize that when she does want to drink the blood of the person that she loves or cares about, she never really attempts to kill them. Yes, she does attempt to hurt them to drink their blood, but she never explicitly wants them dead. And we know the fact that she can keep people alive to constantly consume their blood because we saw that she was able to do it with Kami. And this is where the murderous intent comes in, because throughout the story, we've never seen her use the quirk of her ability to transform into people and then use their quirk in a murderous-like way. Now, that is not to say that she has never killed people using her quirk, but that she has never done it in a way that is explicitly murderous. Most of the time that she's attacked or used her quirk has typically been in self-defense. And the only time she's actually killed someone or attempted to kill someone on screen is against Shigaraki, who actively attempted to kill her, as well as the people who are actively trying to kill her during My Hero Academia. It is only recently where Toga has explicitly gone out to try and use Double or the quirks that she has copied to actively kill people, ergo murder. Because while murder is a form of killing, not all killing is a form of murder. And murder is normally indicative of intent to kill on purpose. So the idea is that her idea of wanting to kill with a specific purpose outside of love is really messing with her ability to use these quirks, because her quirk is powered by love. And if she isn't feeling love in this moment, then the quirk itself won't be at full force. That is the best way that I can really explain this situation of how she's unable to use Twice's quirk to its fullest. And I really liked this idea, and let me just ask you how you feel about it, because overall, I think that this was, though a short chapter, still a solid, if not decent chapter. It is a setup chapter. We are setting up for the bigger fight to come between Toga and URARAKA, and I think what this chapter does is very good. It establishes that even though these are Toga using Twice's quirk, that they are still posing a threat to the heroes, that they are putting some of the heavy hitters on the hero's side out of commission. It's setting up potentially the solution to what is going on with Toga and her quirk, as well as really showing how much URARAKA has grown as a person throughout the series. All of this is really just context for what is going to come next within the following chapters, and is really setting up once again for the final fight between these individuals. It's not going to be a fighting and clashing of physical forces, but is most definitely going to be fighting with ideals, and potentially the reveal that URARAKA does understand Toga, and how this is all going to build up into the confession that URARAKA truly does understand Toga because they both have love for the same person via Deku. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the chapter. So let me ask you, what did you think of the chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And are you not a fan of the shorter chapters? And do you wish that we had more? And how do you feel about the setup for this chapter? Leave your thoughts down below. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz. And hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!